Okay, let's get into part 3, the second page. I'm going to go straight into number 8, factoring with cubes. I'm going to rewrite it so you guys see your A and your B. So here we go. 2 times 2 times 2 gives you 8. X times X times X gives you X to the third power. So that is your A. 125, 5 is obviously the right choice because, 5. All right, so there's your A and B. Because this is a difference of cubes, you're going to keep the first one a difference, so 2x minus 5. All right, and then the rest are going to be positive signs. All right, so here you have a squared, so it's 2x is your A, and you're going to square that. All right, in the middle, you're going to do A times B. So here, so that you could see what I'm talking about, A and B, those are what I got from the original equation. The middle term is your A times B, so 2x times 5 is going to give you 10x. And then your last term here is 5 squared, that gives you 25. All right, this one I had to put in parentheses so that you guys see where this 4x squared comes from. All right, it's your A squared. So A squared is this whole quantity 2x. So here we go, minus 5. So 2 squared gives you 4, x squared, x to the second power gives you x squared. So this is going to be your final answer. Once you do the cube, when you factor a cube, this is your final answer. You can't go any more factoring wise. All right, so what that means is that this part right here, you're going to have to use the quadratic formula to solve if I were to ask you to find your zeros. We're just factoring. All right, number, I guess we'll go to number 11. 11 was a little hefty, so let's do number 11. All right, so number 11, we can factor out some of the x's since each of the 3 terms share an x. Well, how many x's do they share? The lowest amount, which is x squared. So we're going to go ahead and take away, you always want your a value to be positive, so we're going to also take away that negative sign. All right, so x squared is what we're going to factor out. What are we left with? A positive 6x to the 6 minus 2 is 4. This is going to give you an opposite sign, so positive 7x. 4 minus 2 gives you 2, and then you're just left with 3. Okay, and then here we go. We are going to have to expand this and then factor by grouping. So we need a numbers that multiply to give you, well, your A times C, that gives you 18, and that add to 7. So two numbers that, this is supposed to be a negative 3. Thanks for catching me on that. So this would be a negative 18. All right, so two numbers that multiply to negative 18 and add to 7, and we're going to go ahead and just replace it. So x squared, 6x to the 4th stays. We're going to replace this middle term with a positive 9x squared and a negative 2x squared. 9 and 2, when you subtract them or add them, they give you 7. When you multiply them, they give you negative 18. So there we go, and then minus 3. This is where we're at. We're going to go ahead and group the first two and then group the second so we can factor by grouping. So we get negative squared. 6 and 9 share a factor of 3, and x squared is the lowest x's you can pull out, and you are left with 2x squared plus 3. And then here, again, you still have to have a 2x squared plus 3, so really the only thing you can factor out is a negative 1. And then rewrite everything so that the common factor between the two is 2x squared plus 3, and then whatever you have left over, which is that 3x squared minus 1. And if you take a look, there's no difference of a perfect square. You have a value, so that's it. You're done. All right. And then let's take a look. What else do we have? Let's do number 14. I just picked number 14. So -2 and 50, their common factor is going to be a -2. Remember, you want your a value to be positive, so if you can factor on negative, it's easier down the road. All right, so how many x's do they share? Well, it's the lowest number of x's that you see, so x cubed can be factored out. What do you have left? You have x squared, and then opposite sign because it's 50 divided by -2. So this is going to give you a -25. All right. So this first part here, we can't factor anymore. The second part here, this is a difference of perfect square. All right. We talked about it in part 1, I believe. If you didn't watch it, we'll talk about it again. A difference of a perfect square. 25 is a perfect square, so you're going to break it down, rewrite everything that you aren't going to touch. Difference of a perfect square is nice and easy. It's going to be x plus and then x minus. The square root of 25 is 5, so 5 here and 5 here. There you go, difference of a perfect square. Number other 14, because, you know, I said I would do 14. So here, this is actually nice and easy if you flip it. All right, so the first thing you should see is it's a cube, but your formulas don't do a negative. All right, your a value has to be a positive. So for this, well, you can you can technically. I'm gonna do a difference so you guys see. I mean, it'll work either way. I like my a value, you know, positive. So here I'm gonna just factor out the negative. So it's gonna be a positive x cubed. This becomes a -216. Your a value is gonna be just 1, right? It's gonna be 1x, all right? Same thing as x, right? B is going to be, well, 216, the cube root of 216 is 6. I'm going to do the difference. So this is going to end up equaling negative, remember it's a, so that's x because it's a difference, so minus b, which is 6. All right, and then all your other signs are just going to be positive. All right, so a squared is x squared. A times b is going to be 6x, and then 6 squared is going to be 36. There you go. Final answer. All right. And then to finish it off is this bottom section here. So here you want to write it in the minimal degree. What that means is that, remember, a polynomial, we're only given a certain portion of your graph. There could be more. So we're only writing it with what we are given. All right. So before, when we did that Desmos where you can add more factors because you were allowed to, here they're just telling you to write the equation given just these given roots. That's it. No more. Don't make them up. All right. And integers, what this means is that you're not going to write it as fractions. Okay. So I'll give you an example. So for instance, number 16 here, this first part, you can't write it as a fraction. What do I mean by that? You can't do x minus 2/5. That isn't, those aren't integers. Integers are whole numbers that are positive or negative. 2/5 is a fraction, all right? So no fractions, that's what that means when it says integers, all right? So what this means is that you're really gonna solve this backwards, all right? So let me erase this. Similar to how these are right here, x equals 2. These are nice because you guys use these. So it's x minus 2, x plus 1. It's opposite signs. It's opposite signs because you're just moving that number to the other side. So x equals 2. You're subtracting 2 from both sides, so you get x minus 2 equals 0. It's working backwards from solving, all right? So what that means is that when you're dealing with these fractions, so you have x equals 2 over 5, well, in order to move this, you have to get rid of your denominator. So what does that mean? You have to multiply both sides by 5. If you multiply both sides by 5, the numerator and the denominator cancel out. They equal 1. Then you have 5x equals 2. Well, you want 2 on the same side, so you're going to go ahead and subtract. And there you go. That would be your other factor. So your factor that contains integers is going to be 5x minus 2. All right? That is factored form. So you have to go ahead and FOIL in order to get standard form. So actually, I'm not going to finish up 16. So you still have to keep working. All right? ... You got to FOIL it, all right, in order to get it to standard form. Okay. Actually, let's do that because that's going to be on your quiz anyway, or your test. All right, 5x times x is going to be 5x squared. This is going to be negative 10x, negative 2x plus 4. So remember, I told you guys do 2 at a time. All right, so I did the first 2. I ignored the last one. Combine like terms. So you have 5x squared. I'm just going to rewrite it in here so that I have my last line to put everything. So negative 12x plus 4. All right. And then the one that we didn't use, x plus 1. And then go ahead, FOIL again. So 5x squared times x. That gives you 5x cubed. 5x squared times 1 plus 5x squared. Negative 12x times x. Negative 12x squared. Negative 12x plus 1. 4x. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 1 is 4. Combine like terms, so you have these 2 and those 2. So your final answer, let's get rid of 18 here. 18's in our way. So you get 5x cubed minus 7x squared minus 8x plus 4. All right, so that's it. And last but not least, number 17, so you guys see the multiplicities and moving forward. So here, we'll say f of x equals x plus 3 because opposite signs. And then x minus 6, it says multiple of 4. This should be multiplicity. So here, 4. Exponent equals multiplicity. There you go. Done. All right. Have a good day.